Hello, and welcome back to Lazarus After Dark. Today's going to be kind of a hefty video because I'm going to be reviewing not one, but two movies. Yeah, took a trip to Tucson, Arizona, and while I was out there, I got a chance to catch two of May's biggest horror movies. And I want to talk about them really badly. I legitimately really badly want to talk about them because they were just too good, in my opinion, to not talk about them. So, without further ado, let's get into the video. Also, before we begin, spoiler alert for both Obsession and Hokum. I am not going to really be holding much back in terms of spoilers, so if you want to see those movies, it'd probably be best to skip this video. But yeah, spoiler alert, just want to let you know. So, in that order, let's start with Obsession, because that's the one I saw. It's weird, that it's not the order I saw them in. I saw Hokum first, but Obsession, because I saw it, I guess more recently, it's still fresh in my brain. So let's talk about Obsession. So Obsession is the directorial debut by YouTuber, comedian Curry Baker. I believe his name is Curry Baker. You can, future Lazarus, put on the screen. Is it Curry Baker? So yeah, he's a comedian, he's a YouTuber, and it's interesting because a lot of I've noticed this trend. A lot of YouTubers who are starting to become filmmakers recently are people that are around my age, which is early 20s. And I think that's really cool that a lot of these studios are giving these young filmmakers a chance to prove themselves. And I think that's cool. And oh my god, Obsession. So the movie's about this guy who gets this kind of thing. Basically, he has a crush on his friend, and he gets this little kind of a novelty toy called a One Wish Willow, and he makes a wish that his friend will fall in love with him, will be in love with him endlessly. It's this wish fulfillment movie story, I guess. And then it works. And it's funny because I was thinking about this. I was like, that is the premise to a rom-com. I've seen so many rom-coms where it's I wish that this person would fall in love with me. And then suddenly it happens and they're like, oh my god. And then they go on quirky romantic adventures. Yeah, that's not this. That's not this movie. In fact, this movie is the anti-rom-com because this movie is so disturbing. I was not expecting it to be scary because I'm a horror movie buff. Hold on. For fuck's sake, I have this. Literally, I have this sitting at my desk. It's a Freddy Krueger glove. So I am a horror buff, and I've seen every horror movie. I've seen so many, and it's basically desensitized me to horror, desensitized me to being scared. And I could see people probably being like, well, isn't it a bad thing? Why do you enjoy horror then? I usually say, I find horror to be creative. It's endlessly creative. Even when it's not creative, it's still more creative than any other genre of movie. So, I like that. I like that aspect of horror. And that definitely, Obsession oozes that creativity that I like. I hunger for, I yearn for. Again, I don't get scared. I rarely get scared by anything. I'll watch The Exorcist, or maybe that's not a good example because I think people today think The Exorcist is funny. for some fucking reason. Okay, I'll watch The Conjuring or Sinister. I'll watch Sinister. That's like the most scientifically proven scariest movie of all time. Anyway, I'll watch that movie. And when I was younger, when that movie came out, yes, it scared me. But rewatching it, I don't feel anything. Well, I feel like enjoyment because I enjoyed the movie, but I don't feel like fear or anxiety because I'm like, it's just comfort now. I'm not scared of this anymore. And same thing with, you know, a lot of movies that people consider to be the scariest movie of the year. Like, I'll go into them, be like, that wasn't really scary to me. I mean, I enjoyed it, or I thought it was really good, but it wasn't scary. This movie, I'm gonna call you Curry. Curry knows how to throw the audience off guard, like catch the audience at their most vulnerable state, because there will be scenes where, you know, the characters will be doing like, oh, romantic fun stuff, and then immediately, like not even a split second afterwards, something incredibly horrific and fucked up will happen, and it catches you off guard. And that's the best parts of this movie. Like, I think this movie is fantastic. In fact, it's weird because normally, you know, again, going with the, like, not really getting scared by anything, to go off of that, I'll also go into these, like, this is the best horror movie of the year. Like, I'll go into movies like that, and I liked it, or even, I'll even go as far as to say I loved it, but I didn't think it was the best movie of the year. Like, I'll go into that, usually. I'll go into movies like that, and I'll be like, yeah, I think there's other horror movies I've seen that are far superior than so-and-so. But this is somehow worth the hype. Like, it is so fucking scary, but at the same time, it's really funny. It's a very funny movie, to the point where I would even classify it as a horror comedy. But I think that's the one thing that I just don't like. I'm not going to say I don't like horror comedies, but I definitely think there is a thing going on, a trend, if you will, where a horror comedy tends to be more comedy than horror. And a lot of times that, I would say most times, it gets annoying, because I'm like, when I hear horror comedy, I think of a mixture of both. I don't think of a comedy with just a few horror elements in there. Like, that's one of my problems. There's the Happy Death Day movies. In fact, what's that director? Christopher Landon, I think his name is. Again, future Lazarus. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I would always, like, say he is to blame for that. He is definitely, it definitely fits that archetype where all of his horror comedies, every horror comedy he makes, it's just more comedy than horror. And to me, I always find it not really funny, because I'm like, ha 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 ha. But I'm like, the reason it's funny, the reason horror comedies become funny is that there's always something horrific that's gonna happen. So when the comedy happens, or when, like, something funny happens, it makes it more funny, because it's almost like a sigh of relief. Like, we're taking a breather. We can relax. We can have fun now. And that's what makes a horror comedy good. That's why, you know, like Shaun the Dead, American Werewolf in London, this movie. In fact, that's what I was going to get to. That's why this movie works so well, is because it's a blending of horror and comedy where the horror and the comedy hit equally. One doesn't overshadow the other. They both hit equally as hard. And I love that. I think that's refreshing to me. It's refreshing to see a horror comedy that's actually scary. but also genuinely funny. So it's like, it's cool. I loved it. I fucking loved this movie. There's also, like, there's so many moments where, like, there's this one part where, the main guy is like, he's gonna share a bed with his crush. Like, after he made the wish and she starts acting kind of weird, she's like, sleep with me. And then he's like, all right, honey. And they're gonna share a bed. She's getting undressed. And then he basically might as well turn to the camera, because he just, like, looks, he gives this look that's almost like boing, like boing, ooga, ooh, like, it's really funny. It's genuinely funny. And then later on in that scene, something really horrific happens. Like, not horrific, but deeply, deeply unsettling happens. And it actually makes you uncomfortable. But it's like, that's the perfect pacing for a horror comedy. Like, this movie, I would say, is mostly perfect. There is one joke, while I thought it was funny, there is one joke I thought was a little amateurish. That's the joke when he brings his best friend, one of the wish willows, and he's gonna break it. And he's trying to convince him to break it. And instead of, saying, like, making the wish that the main guy, Bear's his name. His name is Bear. Anyway, that Bear wants his friend to make. Instead, he says, I wish for $1 million. And then he breaks it, and then suddenly a bunch of cash starts falling from the sky. I thought that joke, while it was funny and ironic, I was like, yeah, it's a little amateurish, because the rest of the movie has such an unsettling, surrealist element to it. When that happens, it kind of took me out of it, where I was like, that's going a little too far into, like, the absurd. I don't know. I thought it was, although it still was funny, but that's my only complaint. That's my cinema sin. That's cinema sin number 1 for Obsession. And honestly, the only one, because everything else in the movie is so perfect. What's her name? I forgot her name. The main actress who plays, I forgot her name in the movie too. What is her name? The main actress who plays Nikki in the movie. If a performance deserves an Oscar, make your move, because, my God, that was an amazing performance. Like, not only amazing, that was dedicated. There's so many moments where she's just staring into the camera, and like, you can tell she is purely dedicated to the craft. I was like, this person deserves an Oscar. This person deserves all the awards. All the awards that this movie should be nominated for, give it to her. Give them all to her. Because there are some points, and I've learned that a lot of the times when she makes, like, a weird face, it would be, like, prosthetics. So I was like, okay. But they're so realistic that I thought it was just genuinely her being able to make that face. Kind of like how Bill Skarsgård can do the Pennywise eye thing where his eyes go like this. I thought it was genuinely like that, where she could just do that face. And it made me uncomfortable and freaked out, but in the best way possible, like, as a compliment, because this movie is so good. And yeah, I don't know. I don't want to see any other horror movie being as memorable or topping this movie. Because this movie, I guess we can get into that as well, where this movie is also an incel an incel's like wet dream come true, because my god, like the Curry, again, I don't remember his last name. I'm sorry if you're watching this. If you are one of the 2 people watching this video, I am so sorry that I don't remember your last name. So I'm just going to keep calling you Curry. Curry understands the incel mindset so well, because this whole movie, it's like, Bear, while you understand him and you feel sort of sympathetic towards him, but at the same time, there's a level when I'm like, dude, how about you stop thinking with your dick? You stop thinking with your little dick, and you actually, like, set up some boundaries or something, because this is insane. And then also, like, there's another girl in the movie that likes Bear, and I'm like, what's wrong with her? What's the problem with her? Why? It seems like you 2 are close. Why not her? She seems like a better match. I don't know, a more healthy option than this crazy, obsessed lunatic who isn't, like, I guess we should get into it. She isn't crazy. It's weird. It's almost like a possession movie, because the real Nikki, at times, just will come out. And it's freaky, because you're like, what the fuck? Because it throws you for such a loop. And it turns out the real Nikki's in there, but her body's being taken over by, we don't know what. The audience we never know what is controlling her. We just know that she's being controlled and possessed. And Bear basically takes advantage of that. It's really disturbing when you think about it in that aspect. It is pretty fucked up. Like, the whole scenario of him just basically taking advantage of her and using this opportunity to get with the girl of his dreams, while not really respecting her as a person. Because, like, we get to a certain point where it turns out Nikki basically only thinks of Bear as a brother, as a little brother figure, not as a romantic partner. And normally, you know, if you respect a girl, you're going to respect a decision, even if it hurts. Like, that's the tough truth. Even if it hurts and it's heartbreaking, if you truly care for somebody, you will respect that decision. If they only think of you as that, you'll respect it. Bear does not. In fact, there's a point where you start to question if Bear is doing this as a way to get back at her for thinking that. Like, there's some really there's some, like, themes going on in this movie, and I loved it. Just loved it. Like, you got themes. It's a perfect horror comedy. There's genuinely unsettling moments that actually made me uncomfortable. Like, it's everything I want as a horror fan, and more. And I'm gonna be honest, because it came out recently that Curry Baker, again, I'm gonna assume your name is Baker, Curry Baker is gonna make a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie, which I think is cool, because I love the Texas Chainsaw franchise, but that's such a weird direction to go to. Like, after a movie like this, to immediately go into a pure slasher movie, I don't know, it's very weird, I guess. But at the same time, I'm like, you know what? You said your piece. You showed that you can scare people. So go for it. I say go for it. Like, that's a cool opportunity. Especially to work with A24, which another YouTuber, another young YouTuber whose movie's coming out soon. I'm going to be talking about soon. But yeah, that's a cool opportunity. So I think that's awesome for him. everyone here, like everyone in this cast is so good. I perfect movie. Like, honestly, I know that this is probably really late to say. I kind of think all of you should watch this movie first before watching this video, because I just feel like I didn't give this movie the justice it deserves. So please, just go see it. Go watch the movie. Really good movie. I really liked it. I think it's gonna be definitely, because at the end of the year I plan to do a year in review thing. This movie's probably gonna be, if not the top movie, it's probably gonna be near the top. So go see it. Go watch Obsession. Go see it in a theater. Don't wait for it to come to streaming. Go see it in a theater. You know what? Unless you can't. Unless you have something like that's keeping you. I don't know. Maybe you're a parent and you can't go out often. Then okay, fine. But if you're not a parent and there's no reason you can't go into a theater other than I don't want to leave my house, then fucking just do it. Just go see the movie, because it's well worth the price of admission. And yeah, go see it. All right, on that note, let's get into a completely different movie, a completely different beast of a movie. So, Damian McCarthy has made a name for himself. He made Caveat, which is pretty good. That movie's really good. But then I think his magnum opus was Oddity. Like, he made a movie called Oddity. That's his magnum opus. And now he's back. He's back, baby. But not only is he back, he is being sponsored by Neon, which is so cool. Very cool. And also Spooky Picture, which is Roy Lee's like production company. He's the producer behind It and and Weapons and like many other movies. So he got the big financing. He got Adam Scott as the lead. So Hokum is a perfect little, very like little folk horror Silent Hill movie. The best Silent Hill movie, because I've seen that comparison so many times where people will compare Hokum to Silent Hill, and I kind of agree. The only exposure to Silent Hill I have is the movies. I'm sure to a lot of people that's a shameful, whatever. I don't like. I want to get to playing the games at some point, but for the time being, all I had for Silent Hill was the movies. I think the first one's the best. Second one is and then Return to Silent Hill was okay. But from what I understand about Silent Hill, this Hokum hits all the right beats. It's liminal horror. It has spooky creatures. It has that foggy atmosphere to it. It's about somebody going through grieving and guilt and having that guilt manifested into like an actual supernatural threat. It's everything. It's everything I feel like we could ask for from a Silent Hill movie that's not technically a Silent Hill movie. And it's great. I loved it. Obviously, I don't know how much I'm going to spoil for this movie, but I loved this movie a lot. I thought it was great. I'm going to be honest, I think this movie is better than both Oddity and Caveat. I kind of liked it a lot. I thought it was great. I like this, like, Robert Eggers started something. Like, this fascination with, like, folk horror. But, like, accurate folk horror, where it's accurate to the folklore it's based on. And Damian McCarthy seems to be carrying on that tradition. and going to like his Irish roots for this movie, and I think that's awesome. I like the name. I want to say, I don't know, I didn't look this up, but from how it's used in the movie, the word hokum, I'm guessing means like bullshit, or is like Old Irish for like bullshit, or like yeah, right, whatever, because the way it's used in the movie, Adam Scott basically tells a guy that he thinks his story is bullshit, but instead of saying that, he says hokum. So I'm like, I bet that's what that means. And what a perfect word, because this movie is basically a ghost story. It's a full ghost story about this haunted hotel and like this old crebity witch that lives in the basement, or technically lives in the honeymoon suite, but really lives in the basement. And then there's a murder, there's everything is happening in this movie, and I loved it. Because it all blends so seamlessly together with like this theme of guilt, and that's something I thought was interesting, is that a lot of these movies are more, usually a lot of horror movies, especially indie horror movies, focus more on grieving. So it was kind of interesting to have a movie like this finally focus on guilt, the very notion of a guilty conscience. And I love that. I thought that was great, because it fed into the story of like the witch who takes lost souls and drags them into the underworld. But it's all metaphoric for like those with guilt who are guilty and kind of deserve punishment. And like I also loved, and I know we're going all over the place, I'm trying my hardest. I'm trying my hardest to use my squirrel brain, my autistic squirrel brain, to remember this movie correctly, because I didn't take notes. I didn't write anything down like I should have. I thought, you know what? I remembered Obsession pretty well, so maybe I'll remember this movie. And that's the thing. It's like, it's not forgettable. It's just I don't have a good memory. Just want to throw that out there. But yeah, there's so many things. It's a Halloween party, so there's a lot of. This is definitely a perfect Halloween movie, because I mean the whole thing centers around a Halloween party. There's jack-o'-lanterns, but not carved out of pumpkins, carved out of melons and bread, which I know that's like an Irish thing, and I think that's cool. I was like, that's unique. That's actually pretty unique for a movie. I just never seen that utilized in a movie before. And then it's Halloween, so there's spooky things happening, and it's All Hallows Eve, and it's really cool. I really liked it a lot. And one of the things I liked, I mean, Jack the Donkey Man, whatever he's called, even though he's not in the movie for that long, what a perfect character. Creature design, even though he's supposed to be a donkey, it goes in the theme with like the rabbit from Caveat, and like that type of imagery, and it just, what a freaky little character. And also, can we say, I know that witches recently have been used to represent like feminism and female empowerment, so they usually don't look like a old hag. But can I just say, I appreciate that they made the witch look fucking ancient in this movie. Can I just say that? Can I just say I appreciate using the old like folkloric version of a witch for this movie? I think that works better. If the witch was like this like younger person or something, I would be like, what are you doing? What are you doing? I get it. You want to inject some feminism into a movie. I get it. But that's not what this movie's about. This movie's about like an ancient thing that's been here for who knows how long, feeding off the guilt of these of this one man. That's the whole thing of the movie, is that he is so bitter and what's the word? He's very cynical. Cynical, that's the word. He's very cynical and bitter, and I just like that, at the end, it's a very sweet ending, because at the end he finally is released of that guilt. He's finally relieved of that guilt. While the other guy, who is a complete scumbag, also just basically gets dragged to hell. I love that. Like, that imagery as well, that ending, that whole third act, when they're in the chains and they're being dragged towards the giant metal door with a bunch of screaming behind it, and then the door opens and there's like all these ghouls and goblins. I was like, ooh! I was like rubbing my hands together like a fly. I was like, ooh! That's so cool! Because as somebody who likes that type of shit, who loves when stuff like that is utilized in horror movies, that was like a dream come true to see that in a big theater. I was like, ooh, ooh. But yeah, I think it was a powerful movie. And then Adam Scott, he learned to not be cynical. He learned to let go of his guilt, let go of everything that's been oppressing him. And he decided he was working on this story. There's a story, the movie starts with, I didn't know that, at first, obviously, like, I don't think anybody knew that this was like, that we're seeing the story he's writing, but he was going to give it a dark, grim ending that's, like, bleak and dark, and he decided, no, I'm going to give it a nice ending. I'm going to give it a nice ending with just a little bit of irony. A tiny bit of irony. And that's Hokum. Hokum is just a good movie. A very simple ghost story. But that's sometimes the best horror movies are the ones that are just simple, that aren't overly complicated with lore and plot. And yeah, Hokum has lore, but it's not like the main focus. It's not trying to be like, there's gonna be a Hokum 2 or whatever. It's like just a simple horror movie. And that was good. It was just really good. And that's really all I have to say about Hokum. So yeah, I'd also recommend seeing Hokum in a theater, because I thought that was just a nice experience, seeing that on a big screen. And also supporting independent cinema, supporting movies like that. Like, I think that's something that should be, like, celebrated. That should be more common knowledge, instead of, we're gonna watch The Mandalorian Grogu, or to watch the bullshit like that, like trash. Instead, how about you check out the movie maybe you never heard of? Maybe you never heard of it. You're hearing it has maybe some good word of mouth. Check that movie out, not The Mandalorian Grogu. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. Check these movies out. Support movie theaters. Support movie theaters. Support them. Support independent cinema. And that's all I really have to say about any of this. Check these movies out. And hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe. Please leave a thumbs up. See you on the next one. Later.